This is Brian Margolis, and welcome to the Simplify Your Strategy, Magnify Your Results podcast, where on each episode I use the pillar system to help a sales pro, entrepreneur, or other results-based professional create a weekly strategy to run a simple, more lucrative business. A strategy so simple it can fit on an index card, but so powerful it's actually helped create multiple seven-figure earners and is now licensed by some of the largest companies in the world to create strategies for their teams. If you'd like a free copy of my book on exactly how to do this, or want to be considered as a guest on a future episode, head on over to productivitygiant.com. Enjoy the episode. Okay, so we are live, but not live.
Okay.
All right, so we started talking before the recording. So Erin, a friend of yours turned you onto the book.
Yes.
A friend who knows of my work, who I've worked with her company. Done a lot of stuff for their company. So you started telling me your story and I kind of said, whoa, hold on. Let's save it for the recording. So give me your background just real quick, and then the transition you're making in your professional career now, and then up till the point where you read the book.
Okay. So for the past 8 to 10 years, I've been doing corporate training with different contract companies with customer experience and leadership. Both of those topics being the main topics that I facilitated and trained on. So a few years ago, it was about 2 years ago now, I was on a big project and it was more up on stage in front of 250 people and I was about a 3-month project working with Delta Airlines, working with their teams on their customer experience and leadership. And one of my friends who I was co-facilitating with at that point said, you need to join the National Speakers Association, you need to keynote. And I really loved being up on stage, mostly because you just get to impact so many people. Anyway, so it was 2 years ago that I went to my first NSA conference. And I've started the pivot of defining my own brand, what I want to talk about. Another coach I work with, she talks about, picking your lane. So it was picking my lane of, is it customer experience? Is it leadership? And really, it's connection. That is what I'm talking about. So going back to the book, just when you're starting your own business, there's just so many plates that you need to spin, right? It's the marketing, it's the sales, it's the messaging, it's the foundational pieces. And I just found myself being so overwhelmed with all of the things that when you have too many things going on, I just was stuck and I just wanted to just like wake up and then go back to bed, which is not a good answer. It's not a good way to start a business.
You were paralyzed because you didn't have clarity on where to focus.
Right. And I'm a firm believer, like when you have, it's like prioritize and execute. If you have too many things going on, you can't do anything, right. But they all seem to be priority. I mean, they really, there just seemed to be a lot of priorities and I couldn't determine which one was the most important.
Got it.
So then my friend recommended your book. She sent me the book. And I think the big thing there was realizing, and when I read the book, I'm like, yeah, it just makes it sound in some ways so simple, but there is the underlying thought still, and this is where I'm still spinning a little bit of, sure, have I picked the right pillars, and is it the most important thing that I'm working on? And so this is where why we are talking today.
Yeah, and I think, and tell me if we're on the same page here. So fundamentally, a lot of us figure out at some point quickly that we have to prioritize. We can't get it all done. You earn more by focusing on less, and we read about all that. But very few of us have an actual process to figure out what those things are, right? It seems like if you ask yourself that question 10 times a day, you'd have 10 different answers, depending on your mood or how you felt or what was the last phone call you had. Okay.
Yep.
And so you read the book, you realized, okay, there's a process out there to actually figure out what my priorities are. And so now how long have you been in business? I guess is the way to this new business you've started.
So I would say, probably a year and a half.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know like how you define being in business. I mean, because I've still been working with contract companies, but I
Yeah.
have two or three of my own like keynotes booked and clients booked. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
Okay.
just, and of course, looking back, this is, I think, part of it too. You look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this stuff for so long, but it really hasn't been that long. And it's, but when in the grand scheme of things, and it was messaging and website development and all those. I've been working on the foundational pieces, like I
Yep.
said.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm ready. I'm now at the point that most of those things are in place, and it's time to start bringing in some business and having a business with clients. So yes.
Sure. And when you say contract work, just so I'm clear, the only difference between what you're calling getting, a client yourself for your business and contract work is, number one, a third party brings the client to the table, so you're calling that contract work.
Right.
And number two, you probably have less latitude in what you're going to be speaking about, or do you speak about the same thing, whether it's contract work or your own work?
It's more there. The first part, yes, is that it's a third party bringing in the
Okay.
business. And then for the most part, it's their content. However, the work that I do is based on everything. The work that I'm doing now is very leadership focused, communication focused. A lot of the things that I talk about with my own material are the same things. And actually, some of the companies that I contract with have started licensing my material for their material. So it's overlaps a lot. And I I've been saying no to more and more contracts that are not part of this on what I really want to talk about. So I tend to weave my own. It's interesting. I tend to, when I weave my own material into the other the contract companies content, that seems to be what resonates most. And I think I had started doing that before, and that was part of me saying, okay, like I've got a message here, and I've got my experience that I want to go out and do this on my own. So it's a nice
Okay.
overlap, but I'm ready really to just go
Okay.
out and do it myself.
Now, so when I look at you, I'm looking at you like this is Aaron Incorporated.
Yes.
Okay. This is Aaron Incorporated. And so as part of Aaron Incorporated right now, would you say contract work is a necessary evil? I mean, I don't want to call it evil, but a necessary evil to keep Aaron Incorporated going?
Yes, but yes.
Okay. And do you have to do anything? Do you proactively have to do anything to keep that contract work coming in?
No, they basically, I have a few people that it's fairly consistent now. And
Okay.
actually I just actually completed one big project, and that's kind of the base. Like I'm kind of fine with that one project. And if I get just a few more things going with my own, I can probably completely say no to the contract work.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So you don't have to proactively do anything,
No,
because sometimes I'll have a client who is in a similar transition, but it's still important that they keep their existing work coming.
the people that I
Okay.
contract with will reach out to me. Like I'm in
All
good
right.
standing, as they say. So yeah, I don't really have to proactively do that.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what's the word you would use to describe your business? Is it a speaking business? Is it a training business?
I would say, I'm like, can I say C, all the above? I would say facilitation and training. So I think there's the keynote side, but then there's also workshops. Those are the two main quote unquote products that I would say that I would, it's keynotes, it's the facilitating of workshops. And then I think also some like, I would say high level coaching involved as well.
Okay. And as far as you said something earlier about licensing,
Yes.
is that, I mean, licensing is obviously, because I license my content to companies to distribute internally and work with internally. Obviously, licensing is ideal because you get paid and you're not doing anything, right? Um, Is that something that you're also focused on, is getting your content licensed?
Not so much. I have a listening activity that I use, and that's what was licensed, that specific activity. So I wouldn't say that I'm actively pursuing that, but it's on one of the many burners of things that, in the future, that yes, this could be, it's low priority, I guess, is the short
Okay.
answer to that.
All right. See, like for me, it's a high priority because it's as opposed, if you go to one extreme, I have one-on-one coaching, which I'm phasing out.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it, but I'm phasing, the goal is to phase it out. Licensing is on the other end for me, right?
Okay.
Until my product is finished, because that's the best way for me to make money with the least amount of effort, right? But for you, it's okay. So it's a lower priority. So, all right. So you went through the book, okay?
Yes.
And based, you kind of did, the exercises yourself, asked yourself those questions that are in the book and things like that. Did you then come up with your pillars, or at least what you think are your pillars?
Yes.
Okay. So let me hear them one by one.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm probably going to ask you questions after each one to try to get some clarity.
Sure. So the first one I had was publish one video per week and one article bi-weekly.
Okay. You don't have to say, I mean, it's okay if you say it, but per week, we're going to assume everything's in a week.
Okay.
But it's fine. I mean, you'll catch me saying it too on the per week thing.
Okay.
So publish one video. All right. And then are you putting that on the same pillar, one video and one article bi-weekly?
And one article bi-weekly. Yeah, that was one pillar.
Okay. So right off the bat,
you're like, wrong.
Well, that's okay. Look, the benefit of pillars is in the nuance.
Okay.
Right? It's what separates it from being a glorified to-do list or a list of goals. It's all in that nuance. It's in those 6 characteristics. So when you say one article bi-weekly, what that makes me think is articles take longer than videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that correct?
I think it was more just like yes, I guess that was my thought behind it.
Meaning you don't have the ability to crank out an article. It's harder to crank out one article than it is one video, is my guess.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll come back to that, but the one article bi-weekly, we have to change that to weekly.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be one article. Okay, and we'll talk about different pillar options for that. Okay, we'll come back to that. What was your next pillar? Email
3 current contacts per week.
Okay.
The next one was practice. Okay.
Hold on. Define a current contact.
So that would be someone that I have worked with in the past.
Okay.
Or that I know from a past, like just someone like a warm lead, I guess I would say.
Yeah, warm is probably the word I was looking at. Okay, so email 3 warm / current contacts. Yeah. And what are you emailing them for? Is it the same reason every time?
It was to basically to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to. Do you if you need someone, here I am, or if you have a referral, like this is what I'm doing. Kind of letting people know that what I'm doing now.
Okay. And when you say email, are you only counting email, or could that be a phone call? Could that be a LinkedIn message?
It could probably be all those things. Yep.
Well, let's think about it for a second.
Okay.
Is a phone call equal to an email equal to a LinkedIn message? And I'm not quizzing you. I'm asking you.
Yeah. I mean, right. I would think it would be like talking to in whatever format, like touching. Yes. I don't think it had to be email specific.
Okay. So, but it's over when you reach out to 3 people. They don't have to respond. You don't have to get them on the phone. When you send that email, or you send that LinkedIn message or you leave that voicemail, it's over.
Yes.
Okay. As far as hitting the pillar, I mean, it's over.
Right.
Okay. All right. So it's for prospecting purposes. What was your next one?
Practice delivery for 3 hours a week.
Okay. And delivery means front of the room on stage?
No, that was more like practicing like in my like not in front of people, but more just developing because I probably should have said the next one first, but just practicing my delivery of getting my keynotes, honing in on the material and the content of them. So just practicing, honestly, like videoing myself at home to be able to watch to work on my messaging and just getting kind of the reps in to be able to be confident to go out there and deliver the keynotes.
Got it. Okay. So is that both input and output?
What do you
mean? Are you looking through the material, writing yourself notes, or is the material developed and it's just you practicing for 3 hours a week?
No, looking, right, because looking and developing and looking.
Okay. So 3 hours of delivery development and practice. Okay. The reason I ask is because as time goes on, the ratios there might shift. You might have to put some criteria around that, where I could be wrong, but usually people are more comfortable with one than the other.
Yeah.
Like in other words, I have a pillar right now for me of working on my product, a certain number of hours a week. There are certain parts of my product that in the past I was way more comfortable doing this part than I was actually recording things. So I would do anything to avoid recording, right?
Right.
And so if you tend to like the sketching it out, thinking it through part, but try to avoid putting yourself on camera and actually doing it, then you might want to think down the road about, or now it depends on, those 3 hours. And you can say, for example, 3 hours of, delivery and development and practice, at least 1 hour has to be actual practice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the pillar is kind of like 1 and 3 total hours, at least X amount of that time has to be the thing I'm probably going to avoid. Right.
Right. Well, so it's interesting because then my next pillar was developing the product for 3 hours a week. So that was more like the writing and the brainstorming and the like content creation. And then I had the separate one was actually the practicing, like saying it out loud.
Got it. Okay.
Because for that reason. But
now, when you say develop it, you're not talking about developing content for videos or for online content. You're talking about development of the actual deliverable.
Yes.
Okay. So the deliverable being a workshop
or a keynote.
Okay. And I could see that going down over time, right?
Yeah, and I think that was
like I could give my talks sometime. I could do them sleeping at this point.
Right. And so that's where I think for me now, that's where, and not, because I had a few, I have 3 keynotes outlined, and that I have outlined, and I've delivered 2 of them. And so I had to get those down because I did them. And I think the content's about 50 to 75% there now. So yes, that's definitely going to go down, but I needed to get them done. To your point, like I need to get a few more reps in, and then it's just tweaking the part that I'll tailor, because I tailor parts of it depending on the audience and the association or group that I'm working with. But yeah, I definitely agree that will go down.
Okay. What's your next pillar?
Last one was 3 times 30 minutes of working out exercise.
Okay.
And that's the 5.
Okay. So a lot of practicing in there, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm reading them now and laughing at myself because I'm like total like sales avoidance. But go ahead. Yes.
Well, that's what stuck out to me. So good, bad, or indifferent, the success of your business is going to be more based on your ability to market and promote than it is your ability to give the perfect speech, right? Now, having said that, long term, a business like this, hopefully eventually it's a referral based thing where because of the quality of your presentation, you're getting referrals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're both important, but I would say right now at the stage you're at, you need more marketing in here.
Yes.
Unless you, and maybe I don't know this, unless you have such a huge network that this emailing 3 people a week, you think, some people are so successful from their when they had a W-2 or they had a job that just by hanging out their shingle and letting people know, they're going to generate a ton of work.
Yeah, no, I think I've had a lot of different experience, but I don't know that a lot of different experience with a lot of different companies. I don't know that they are actually going to be the type of people that will hire me now. So no, I don't think that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was reviewing these before we talked today, that's the big thing that stuck out to me. And going back to, your question of what is the most important thing? I don't know that these things, I don't know that all of these are, right? I think where you're going with the marketing and getting out there, I think that definitely needs to be more of a priority of a pillar.
Yeah, and so there's 2 parts to this marketing. The first part is, and not in this order necessarily, but if you think about it, and again, I'm obviously oversimplifying this, but if you think about one part as traffic, let's just call it traffic, eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
People to read your material, people to listen to or watch your videos or your online content, to read your website, all the different ways your message is out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's call those eyeballs. Okay, we're just going to call this traffic. So there's a traffic generation component to this, right?
Yeah.
And this is just a very simple way of thinking about it. The second is the funnel, meaning, okay, when someone comes to your website or someone sees a piece you wrote on LinkedIn, where does that take them to, right?
Right.
How do you capture that information or get them to, what's the final piece before someone reaches out to you? Do you want them watching a 3-minute video? Actually, let me pull back for a second. Who is your customer? They're not individuals, these are companies, right?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to have one customer base would be meeting planners that are working, obviously, planning the conferences. And so that's one customer. Mm-hmm. And then, I think the other customer are the either HR directors or L&D professionals, the people that for the in-house workshops in these companies. Okay. And I'm getting closer. I know that I probably have some work to do on defining that customer, but I have been working on that and defining more exactly what type of businesses I'm going after. So that has been, I'm narrowing that down too.
Okay. So hold on. I would imagine that in a perfect world, you'd love for meeting planners to be your target, but would I be wrong in that they're inundated with people that want to do the same thing?
Yeah.
Have you had much success reaching out to meeting planners?
I haven't reached out to a lot of them, so I have a good answer for that.
Okay. So I mean, okay. So a meeting planner is not a customer as much as it's a source of traffic, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But okay. I don't want to split hairs here. So if you think about your ideal client right now, all right, if you think about your ideal client and the person who's going to make the buying decision, or not always make the buying decision, but your cheerleader, right? Like me personally, for my business, I look for two people inside of a company. All right. I look for either the decision maker or my cheerleader, if that makes sense. Who's someone who's going to, because a lot of times the decision maker is not going to watch my videos, listen to my audio, right?
Yep.
They're looking, so I need a cheerleader inside the company. I need someone to go, hey, I've talked to two of my friends. I know the work he's done for their companies. I've been listening to his audios. I've been reading his, whatever. So to me, you kind of have two people in the company. You have the decision maker, you have the cheerleader. Depending on the size of the company, those people can be two different people, right?
Yep.
It'll okay. That person in a perfect world, okay? Because if I'm thinking your funnel through, is part of your funnel like, do you want to get on the phone with them? Is that the ultimate goal?
I mean, I would say yes. I mean, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because some people don't want to get on the phone with anyone. They're like, it's a low ticket item, so it's that's all right. It's a low ticket item, so hey, I'm not talking to someone. But in your case, it's a higher ticket item. So if you're kind of drawing this out, I would put the phone at the bottom of this funnel. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now, there's obviously a lot of ways someone could wind up on the phone with you through referrals and stuff. I'm only talking about through non-referrals and things like that. But for me, like honestly, in my business, I don't want to get on the phone with a potential customer unless they've read my report or heard one of my audios or something, right? Unless it's a referral, I'm really not a fan of just, oh, can we talk about your coaching or talk about your training program or what is that piece or pieces that before you get on the phone with them, and this has to do with pillars, by the way, what is that piece that in a perfect world you would want them to watch? Like, do you have a highlight reel, an explainer video, a 1.5 page document?
Not specifically yet. Like I'm working on the highlight reel, because that was, obviously me being up on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working now on my lead magnet of getting people actually when they get to my website to sign up. And I'm doing a 3-part video series on the things that I like, some of the things I talk about, like actionable things that they can do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like these are the questions, right? Like these are good questions, and that's where I don't know.
Okay, so well, here's another way to look at it: the 3-part video series.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3-part video series how long total is that 3-part video series?
I mean, the videos, I think it'll be like 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minute videos. So okay. No more than 20 minutes.
So 20 minutes of total time. Okay. Could that itself be the bottom of the funnel? Like if they watch those 20 minutes of videos, would they know after those 20 minutes, the person who's hiring you, or cheerleading, either the hiring person or cheerleading, would they know after those 20 minutes of videos, would they know that, okay, I got to get on the phone with her?
Yeah. I mean, that would be the goal. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if I would do more work then. You could make those 3 videos, okay, the second to last level of the funnel, if you're kind of following my flow here.
Yep.
Right? Your 3 videos.
Okay.
So what I would suggest, because here's the thing, a lot of these decision makers don't want to join your email list.
Right.
Okay. I think have you noticed who's joining your email list? Like what type of person they are?
I haven't, like, I hardly have anyone on my email list because
okay.
Like honestly, and there's if you go to my website, like there's no enticement for people. And so that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Working on driving people to my website it's all,
Yeah, but okay. Let's even decide if that's even necessary, because your buyer, okay, if you have a more corporate kind of buyer, see, I have buyers who are individuals. Okay. I then have corporate buyers. Yeah. And here's what I've noticed beyond a shadow of a doubt. The management people and the executives almost never sign up for my email list. It happens once in a while, and those are usually great clients because they're like open-minded and whatever. Right. It's usually individuals who will join my email list, right? Who need help with a certain thing. Again, that's just in my business. And then I notice managers will join later once they know me and they want to get more things. But I guess the way I'm looking at it is when I think about who your client is, all right? And I guess I don't know if you've defined it well enough yet, but who your buyer is. I mean, I think you know who it is. I just don't think you've articulated it to yourself maybe or down on paper. Are they the kind of person that's going to join your email list? Like, what does that video help them with?
Getting a sense of what I talk about, getting a sense of like my style and my delivery.
Okay. So can you imagine there's a buyer type who doesn't want to join your email list but wants to watch those videos?
Say that again. Go ahead.
If I'm an HR executive, because you said that was one of your things.
Yep.
Right. And I hear about you, or I see one of your LinkedIn posts, and I reach out to you and I say, "Hey, can I get more information?" They don't want to talk to you yet. They want more information because that's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they want more information, what are you sending them?
To my website where I have videos, like content videos, like 3 to 5 minute videos of things that I send them to my website. Okay. That talks about the different workshops I do and the different keynotes that I do.
Okay, but there's video. Is there enough videos on there that they would know if they want to get on the phone with you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then it's because I thought maybe your only videos were hidden behind a wall, behind the website wall.
No.
Okay, so let's look at it this way then. If you're thinking of this flow chart, you have your website. Okay, at the bottom is the phone, right?
Yep.
And getting to the phone, that might be by looking at your website. It might be by watching the 3 videos. And it might be and again, you got to understand how I'm building this flow chart a little bit. They may be on your email list as well, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually watch the videos or want more information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, if you could send them to one place, would it be the 3 videos or would it be your website?
Website.
Interesting. Okay. You have more confidence in people's willingness to look around and look at everything.
Well, right. Maybe that's completely wrong.
No. I probably should have looked at your website, but
I think I said website because to me, the website has, you're right. I'm like, how often do people go to websites? Who knows? But my website has it's pretty tight. And it gives a good picture of, what I talk about. I mean, it's pretty straightforward and I think the other thing is too with speaker websites, and this is one piece that's missing now, is the whole demo video, right? Because a lot of times that's what they want to watch to see. Like anyone can say they're a speaker, but I'm sure you've seen speakers that are actually speaking and they still suck. Like that they want to see people, they want to see that footage. Okay. So like that's one component that I think that's missing. But and go ahead.
I think I'm going to sum it up this way then.
Yeah.
Like creating that highlight reel. It sounds like you have the pieces. You just have to do it, right?
I need a little bit more. I need more footage.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
But to me, that's just a task. That's not a pillar, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like you got to do it one time. Okay. So just because I want to stay on pillars, I'm not doing a marketing consult with you.
Yeah.
I apologize if we got off there a little bit, but I was going somewhere with it, but it quickly made me realize there wasn't a pillar there. It sounds to me like your funnel right now is good enough that it's more of a traffic issue. You need more eyeballs.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if you need a pillar right now of working on your funnel, working on your messaging and the conversion. Let me ask you one more question before we get into the traffic thing here. As far as once someone joins your email list, all right? Once someone joins your email list, is your campaign already set up? Like, will they get stuff for the next year, year and a half? Kind of
No,
stuff to nurture them?
no, but I'm working on that now.
Okay. See, to me, that might qualify as a pillar.
Okay.
Because if you don't, not everyone's a buyer right now.
Yes.
Right. And so for me, I would think you need to spend time each week on the nurturing part of your business, meaning, okay, they gave you their email. The last thing you want them to do is they watch some videos, or maybe they watched half of one and got distracted. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, they get an email from you.
Yeah.
Right. Or they got 2 emails from you and then they don't get anything for 6 months. And now they don't even know who you are, and they hit unsubscribe. Right.
Right.
I would have and tell me if you agree or not, but I think you need to spend time each week creating content for your email list.
Yep. That makes sense.
Now, a lot of this can be recycled, as you probably know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can link to a video you make for LinkedIn. You can take I do it all the time. You can take an email that you wrote and post it on LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
Things like that. Okay. So the articles that you write, the videos that you publish, are these for everything? For LinkedIn, for Facebook, for your website?
Mm-hmm. I post them like native video on LinkedIn. I post them to my blog and my website. I post them on my Facebook business page. Yeah. Across
Okay.
the board.
How does your brain work? Would you don't answer that question before I finish. That's an open-ended question, right? How does your brain work? Are you the kind of person where if you said, look, I need to spend minimum, I need to spend 2 hours a week on content creation, and then that includes LinkedIn videos, articles, putting together emails for my campaign? Or do you need more defined, like each week I need to create one video and write one email for my email campaign, right? And I need to write one article in this case. We're not going to write a full article, but do you see where I'm going with that? Like, are you the kind of person who I need a finished product? Like, I need to do one of these a week, one of these a week, and one of these a week, or I need to focus 2 hours a week on this stuff, and I will prioritize within those 2 hours?
I think I'm probably the 2 hours.
Okay. So you feel disciplined enough, for lack of a better word, that you will focus not on what you feel like doing, but on what needs to get done. Like,
Yeah.
do you like doing one better than the other? Writing versus video versus posting stuff on social media?
Like, I can't stand posting stuff on social media, so I need to get over that. But I think the videos for me, I'm good on camera. Like, I think I can crank out a few videos. So I think that's why, and again, I was focusing more on the videos since I was missing the demo reel piece. So at least people could see me, and talking to a camera is different than talking to a bunch of people. But I figure if I can connect with the camera, one would assume that I could connect with a bunch of people. So that's why I was trying to focus on the videos and then repurpose. I mean, I could honestly like repurpose the transcripts, tweak them a little bit into articles. And I guess going back to your question of, am I more of the person, like, if I do one video a week, I have been trying to do that, but that hasn't been successful. And I don't know if that's just me, like, not prioritizing, or because I think if I say like the 2 hours, I actually, now that I think about it, I'm probably better to say, no, I want one video a week, one article, being more concise than that, because that way at least I can check off that, yes, that is accomplished.
Right. Okay. The other thing you could do is when you say record one video a week, that video can be used in multiple places, right?
Yeah.
Facebook. Some people get all weird about, and again, I'm not a social media expert, but people get weird about, well, that's the same thing I put on Facebook as LinkedIn. What if people, I wouldn't worry about people seeing the same thing twice. I'd be more worried about people not seeing it because they're in one place but not another. Right?
Yeah, no, I post the same video to all
Okay.
the different places. Yep.
So could it be as simple as you create one video, so then that video goes to Facebook, it goes to LinkedIn, and it goes to your email campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, what you do is you very simply, to write an email, you come up with a subject line, and then you just write a couple of sentences. Like, hey, this is important when communicating because whatever, watch this short video to boom, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing again, I only care about your customer right now. And I'm trying not to do a whole marketing breakdown here. I'm keeping it in the realm of pillars, but I imagine the kind of person that's going to hire you is going to have to be open to watching a video of you, right?
Yeah.
See, some
Mm-hmm.
people won't put videos in email because they go, well, some people just like to read an email. They don't want to watch a video. And I get that. I really do. Some people would rather read. I guess what I'm saying is the kind of person who's hiring you kind of has to watch a video.
Yeah. I think.
But you could almost take that video and make everything out of it. LinkedIn, Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your blog. Again, I don't know. What do you do on your blog? You write and you put videos, or?
Right now, well, I have a few articles, but mostly it's just been the videos.
What was the last part you said? I'm sorry.
It's just been videos. There's like two articles
Yeah.
up there, but mostly it's just the video blog.
Right. And again, this is about, if you remember from the book, return on investment, right?
Yeah.
The worst question you could ask is, will this have a positive impact on my business? That's the worst question you could ask. And here's what I mean. Articles, again, when I think of articles, maybe this is my bias, but articles take a long time to write. They're, at least for me, they're not easy to write. They're hard to write. You got to go back, check grammar, edit it, right? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To me, if you said, would writing an article have a positive impact on my business? The answer would be yes. Because, yeah, someone could read it and really relate to it and whatever, something good could happen, right? And so people will go, well, it can't hurt to write a couple of articles. The correct question isn't, will it have a positive impact? The correct question is it the best use of my time?
Yeah.
And if it takes you 2 hours to write an article, a full article, or 2.5 hours or whatever it takes, or an hour, the question is that the best use of my time? What else could I do with that 2 hours to market myself, right? And I would defer to you on this. I mean, how long does it take you to write an article? Is it
yeah, it's probably at least it's probably more than a few hours because of what you just said. It's the write and then the reviewing it and editing and all of that. So
So do you think it's really, and this is directly related to pillars, do you really think it's critical in your business right now to write articles? I'm not saying it couldn't help you or whatever, but in terms of your limited focus, your limited time,
no.
is there something, and again, the answer, is there something about an article that does something that the videos, the blogging, the demo reels, the phone calls wouldn't do?
No.
Does that make sense, what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, totally. Right, because there's only so much time. And I think while it can't, I think it was mostly just, I think the video, if the purpose is so I have a presence, so people can start to understand my message and what it is that I'm about, the videos can cover that.
I think the videos will do the best job covering it because people aren't hiring you to coach them one-on-one. They're hiring you to speak, to train. They want to see you in action, right?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
I would probably, again, I don't know how much content you have. Maybe in your mind you have endless content, right?
Yeah.
And again, you can say the same thing 4 different ways, and I think that's important to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
What you might see as repetitive, by just talking about it a little differently, it's gonna hit home with someone it didn't hit in a different kind of video, saying it with the same message. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I might almost say, again, you do what you want, but could you do 2 videos a week if you didn't have to write articles?
Yep.
Now, part of that 2 videos, just to cross that pillar off, part of those 2 videos is the whole thing. It's not just creating them, but editing. If you wind up editing them, I don't edit much, but if you edit them or whatever, and then also posting them to the different platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would almost say publish 2 videos a week. And for right now, you're just getting started. Maybe scratch the article, right?
Okay.
I think maybe you write an article, maybe, and another way around this is you can give yourself a task, a one-time task to write a white paper, and don't make it any longer than it has to be. If you can get your message to someone, like think of the HR person or whoever you're communicating with. If there's that person that you think, there are people out there that if they just read my philosophy, it would make more sense because of the way, everyone consumes information differently, right?
Yeah.
Some people like audio, video. Some people like to read the text, right? Could you just create a white paper? And it doesn't have to be long. It could be 2 pages, could be 4 pages. It doesn't matter. A white paper on some philosophy or what you do, right? And you just have this one-time white paper, and if people want to grab it, it's on your website. And you can send it, if people want more information along with your videos, you can send them the white paper, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think maybe one of your tasks beside your demo reel is to write a white paper.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
And I don't think it's a pillar. I just think it's a task. You do it one time, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you finish it, you own it, right? You don't have to keep writing articles and stuff like that.
Okay. Yep.
And of course, you can recycle that material too.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So I'm just doing something real quick. Demo reel and white paper. Let me ask you about. I know everyone. It's very sexy right now for everyone to be on social media and inbound marketing and position yourself as an expert. I can tell you from personal experience. Now, this is only experience of one person, right? That I got most of my traction cold marketing, right?
Okay.
The business that I have a couple of different avenues, places I work, but the industry that your friend knows me from, I built that entire business with cold email, right? I had one piece of content. I had like a 4-page report, and I essentially cold emailed people. And here's what I said. I said, this is what I've done for a client that was similar to them, right? Here's the results. I helped a client do this, like double their business or whatever, right? Would you be interested in taking a look, or would you be interested in me emailing you a short outline of how we did that? That was it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then those people who were interested in getting the outline from me, I emailed them the outline. And then, then I followed up. Hey, did you get a chance to read it, to try to get them on the phone, right?
Yep.
That cold email campaign, which I probably did for 6, 7, 8 months, is probably responsible for, well, I would say at some level, it's responsible for 100% of my business now in that category. Because I can't think of anyone who just found me. Maybe it happened, but it's not true. Every once in a while, someone stumbles across me. Ever since I wrote the book, so I shouldn't say that. But in that industry, I would say it's pretty much 100% of my business, because then I started getting clients, and then, of course, I did well by my clients, so they started telling people, and then the managements found out, and the companies found out, and it kind of snowballed from there, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like me and you don't just want to wait for things to catch on, and you don't want to get depressed every week because you're like, I did all this and 4 people commented or 2 people liked it, right?
Yeah.
This idea that cold calling, cold emailing is dead is just, in my opinion, a bunch of bullshit. Have you considered any kind of just direct outreach?
No, but as soon as you said that, I feel like I've considered in the last 30 seconds when you, when you first described. Yes, I have. I mean, because the thing is, and what's, and why, actually, and joking aside, right? Like why that's clicking is because, like, for the I just finished up a big project, like I said, and three of the groups that I work with emailed the guy that I contract with that was like, we want her to come back next year. Like, when is she coming back? Like, the impact that she had on our teams, and that just makes me know, like, that, yeah, if I was doing this, I if I can get in front of, like, start to get in front of people, I just think that it sounds the same thing in the type of work that you do, right? Like, you start doing it and then you build and then you keep going with that. So what the light bulb went off for that is I have plenty of the same thing. Like, here's what I do, here's the results. Like, yeah, it seems very straightforward and not that complicated.
It is, which is why to this day I've had zero, at least as far as I know, I don't, from social media and all that stuff, I don't think it's built much of my business at all.
Right.
One guy nailed me one time. He called me a sampler. I knew what he meant. I already understood this. I just never heard a word for it. And he said, Brian, the kind of people who like you, who hire you, who pay you money, they're the people who have seen you in action, right? When they like I'm not good at fluff and shininess, and to my own detriment in a lot of ways, right? I mean, I've had some of the biggest companies in the world license my stuff, yet people look at my website and they're like, dude, you're an amateur, right? Which I get, and I'm going to try to get better at that, but I'm not good at shining things up, right? But where I get my customers, similar to you, is when people see me in action, when I work with a client or I train someone or I do something for a company, that's when I get more customers. Make sense?
Yeah.
So
I don't get the sampler. What does that mean?
So a sampler means people need to sample me.
Oh, okay.
Right? So some people walk down the grocery aisle and they buy something because the box looks good and it's like, oh, and it's only 4 calories and oh, that looks delicious on the box, right?
Right.
Whereas other people, they would never touch it. They might not even notice it's there on the shelf. So they have some lady or man at the end of the aisle giving out samples, right?
Yeah.
And then someone eats it and they go, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Right? You have to give away a free sample. I'm a sampler in this world, at least in the world we're talking about, right?
Right.
And it sounds to me like you're similar, right?
Yeah.
Is if people, you're like, man, if they only saw me in action.
Right.
If they only heard the compliments I get,
yeah,
then I would get. So to me is you have to self-generate. In other words, you have to go low percentage before you go high percentage, meaning you have to, it's going to take a lot of effort to get a single client. And then it's going to take a lot of effort to get the second client and a lot of effort to get the third. But it's when you start making those cracks, then you can drive a truck through it, right? Because all of a sudden that client refers you to another client, right? And that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I think you have to generate some of your own buzz, for lack of a better word. Okay. And so when I say reach out to people, let me just give you an example. You could reach out directly to a potential client, right? Like a HR person or a meeting planner, all right? By sending them an email. You could, and make sure you learn how to write emails.
Yeah.
Don't write long paragraphs. These emails need to be like 3 sentences, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't say who you are. You can basically say, look, I recently helped a company too, or I recently did this for a company. If that's something you're interested, I'd love to send you over whatever, a video on how we did it or the outline or whatever. My other piece of advice is that you don't send them to your website initially because through this kind of campaign, because if you send them right to your website, the problem is that you'll never know they were interested. They become what Dean Jackson calls an invisible prospect. Okay. Meaning, in other words, if you can just send them anything, right? Even if you say, I'd be happy, if you're interested, I'm happy to send you a link to learn more, right? Or to whatever. to see a video. Then what happens is by them saying, sure, send it over or send me the white paper or send me the videos or whatever it is, now that's a visible prospect. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now you can stay on top of them versus, if you're interested, take a look at my website. Well, you're not going to know if they ever went to your website or not.
Yeah.
And the reality is, even when people are interested, things happen, they look, they forget, and it's like it never happened, right?
Yep.
Anyway, I get a sidebar on how to write cold emails here, but okay. So I think you need a pillar. See, there's two more pillars I'm getting at. I think you need a pillar for cold outreach. All right. Now, this cold outreach could be as simple as, we could start very low. It could be 10 emails. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, weekly, right? 10 targeted emails. Now, let me tell you who those emails could go to. They could go to because there's going to be you're going to have to do some research, right? And figure out who you want to,
Yeah.
But I'd look for similar companies if I was you. Like if you've already helped a company in one industry, I'd reach out to companies in the same exact industry.
Yeah.
Let them know that I recently did something for this airline, like you said earlier. Boom, boom, boom. Okay.
Yep.
So you can go direct to a buyer, right? You can go to a meeting planner, an intermediary, but you could also reach out, for example, if there's podcasts that your demographic listens to, the person, like if HR executives, if there's a podcast they listen to, you could reach out to the podcast and say, about here's a good idea for a show, right? Here, would you be interested in a show about what I do to help HR execs, blah, 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 right? So when I say outreach, it could be direct or leveraged. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You could reach out to, and again, I don't know if these things exist, but you could I'm sure they do. You could reach out to HR websites, HR magazine, right? These could be reach outs for the purpose of writing an article for them. See, that's when doing an article would be worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, this is what I do. Would you be interested in a short article on whatever, right?
Yep.
So I would do 10 email outreaches or reach outs a week.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a large number.
No.
But I think it should be targeted. I just wouldn't, find a list and hit everyone, right?
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
Look them up on LinkedIn, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's a good idea if you're going to do it to connect with them on LinkedIn the same day that you're going to send them the email. So they see your name twice. They see an invite and then they see the email. The other pillar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. The other pillar that I'm thinking about, and then I'll shut up and let you talk, is, again, I have a feeling your content is really good. You're practicing like crazy on your deliverability. So I would hope that's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
Got a lot of practice time in there. Okay. I think you, and you probably have realized this as soon as you go into your own business, is you have to be as great of a marketer as you are a person who can deliver. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who can deliver.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. Anyone who thinks they're the only game in town, there's a lot of people who can deliver. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people who win are the people who can market. Right? Now, again, eventually, I'm not saying you won't get to the point where referrals take over, but that takes a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the compound effect. I think you have to spend 90 minutes a week just learning marketing, just reading and watching videos, right? Reading guys or listening to videos. Guys like, have you ever heard of Jay Abraham?
Nope.
See, that's a problem, right? It's not. By the way, I wouldn't expect you to have heard of him at this point.
Yeah.
Because of your background. But, a guy like Jay Abraham, who's, like the godfather of marketing and all that kind of stuff where everyone's learned from, if you watched a 45-minute video of Jay Abraham, it'd probably be the best marketing video you've ever seen, right? Or guys like Dan Kennedy, right? Dan Kennedy was one of the guys who originally came up with the idea of positioning yourself as an expert and things like that, right?
Okay.
And when I say marketing, I mean both marketing like tactics, but also copywriting, meaning messaging, right? How do you get your message across so that, and you're a communications person, so you understand this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you say things in a way that the other person's going to take the action you want them to, right? I think 90 minutes a week is a minimum. And here would be my advice, which is not my saying, it's someone else's, but I don't know who, which is explore a lot, commit to a little.
Okay.
Don't, because you might start getting excited. You're going to read all these ideas about how, oh, I should do this or I should do that. Just take good notes, keep a running log somewhere on a Word document or in a notebook, or if you like to write inside of books or whatever. But if I'm you, I'm spending 90 minutes a week on marketing, just learning, just seeing what's out there. What do other people do, right? What do other people do? For example, like Jay Abraham, for example, he's a big fan of joint venture marketing, where he says, okay, who calls on a similar client type than you, but is in a non-competitive industry, right? Whose Rolodex can you piggyback on?
Okay.
And again, it's going to lead you down the rabbit hole. Like if you, again, just because I happen to say their names, but if you started with a Jay Abraham, Dan Kennedy, whatever, you're going to start learning about other people and other people and other people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just going to lead. And by the way, you're going to watch videos and you're going to be like, that was a complete waste of 30 minutes of my time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then other times it's not going to be. Don't put too many expectations on it. Just learn marketing.
Okay.
Right? Just see what's out there. See, because you'll start noticing that certain principles will come up over and over.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, having said all that, so here's where I'm at with your pillars, right? Publish 2 videos a week.
Yep.
10 emails a week. We'll call those prospecting emails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you could even say, if you want to really condense this, depending on how your brain works, you could say 10 and 3 prospecting emails, meaning 10 cold, 3 warm.
Okay.
Right? Remember, because you had the warm emails?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would combine that.
Okay.
I go 10 and 3 prospecting emails. All right. So that's the second pillar. 3 hours of development deliverable, 3 hours of practice on the deliverable, right? Those would be pillars 3 and 4. 3 workouts a week, pillar 5, 3 30-minute workouts. And pillar 6 would be 90 minutes a week on marketing.
Okay.
And my guess, I could be wrong, but my guess is a year from now, the most impactful pillar will be that 90 minutes of marketing.
Yeah.
Don't fall into the trap of feeling like you have to do everything that everyone's on Instagram and LinkedIn, and that you spread yourself so thin.
Right.
It's like you're half-assed at a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
You got to know here's the question, and I write this down. How does your audience, your buyer, I'll say, not even your audience, how does your buyer consume information? And I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know if you do either yet. You might have some ideas, but the kind of person that hires you, the HR person, the whatever inside of a company, how do they tend to consume information? Are they video watchers? Are they blog readers? Are they, if it's not at a seminar they're forced to go to, they're not doing it, right?
Right.
how do they consume information? That's something you have to learn about your audience.
Okay.
I talk about marketing. There's a guy named Perry Marshall who I also love in terms of marketing. He's a genius. And I heard him ask a question one time and it changed my marketing, which was, he said, what is something about your industry? Okay. What is something about your industry that most people think is true, but is not? And I'm sure I'm mashing up the words, but what is something about your industry or what you talk about that most people assume is true or think is true that isn't? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, when I was dealing with sales managers, most sales managers actually think their salespeople know what to do. They're like, oh, they know what to do. They just got to actually get out there and execute and be consistent with it. And what I have found out is, no, actually, most salespeople don't have a clue what to do. They know what activity is, but they do not know where to focus. They don't know how to figure out for themselves where to focus, right?
Right.
And so this idea that they all know what they need to do, they're just lazy or they're not doing enough of it, and that was a big part of my marketing message was, you think they know what to do and they don't. It's been pretty successful. So right now we're just in the stage where I'm helping you identify your pillars, right?
Mm-hmm.
The plan is to talk one more time after you've been doing this for a little while, maybe clean up your pillars, right?
Okay.
And then start helping you or see where you're at in terms of hitting them every week and how to hit them, because that's kind of the important part too, right?
Exactly.
You need to hit them every week, and I can't wait to hear all your excuses why you didn't.
Hey.
But it's harder than it looks. Even though it doesn't seem like a lot, it's harder than it looks. How do you feel about what we have?
Much better, I think, and even I honestly, I think combining pillar 3 and 4, or the practice and the development, I think that if I'm being honest, like that's probably further along than it is, and I'm going to think about that one too, because the thing is, I think for me, I think talking about better use of my time would be to instead of spending that 6 hours of practicing and developing, getting in front of audiences to see what sticks, right? Because it's not just to get the reps in front of like Rotary groups, like speak for free type stuff, because that's when I'm going to hear the reaction and see the reaction and get the actual feedback from the audience, as opposed to me just recording myself and watching myself. Like, well, that's somewhat helpful. Anyway, long story short with that, I feel like those I think is just me kind of hiding. So I think there's some bullshit involved in those. So that's why I think spending less time on that. Yeah. I agree with the marketing, because I think that is the biggest thing. And I love what you were just talking about. It's like, okay, where are they getting the information? Who are my buyers? And I think by spending that 90 minutes on really getting clear, who is my customer, where are they, and getting the marketing stuff together, I think that is going to have a big impact, because I think that's going to start to snowball. So
yeah, and just so we're clear on that 90 minutes, just learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just learn. Don't put any pressure on yourself. Try different people. Watch different videos. Some guy says, hey, here's a way to get tons of how to sell high ticket programs. And you know what? Maybe you think it's snake oil. Watch them anyway. I have found I learn more from the snake oil people. Everyone thinks everyone's selling something as snake oil, and I don't. But a lot of times I might not listen to what they say, but they're so popular, I'm more watching what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going, this guy's got an audience of 4 million people. How does he do it? And just by watching their videos, I start seeing stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like don't reinvent the wheel. What are other people doing?
Yeah.
Right. What are other people doing? In the speaking space and things like that. So, all right. So you're thinking about combining those.
Yeah, right. I think the other ones are. I think 3 hours a
total.
Week. Yeah, total for that one. I think that's 3 hours for practice and for development. Like that's 3 hours total. is good. And then I think the other ones are all spot on.
Yeah, and again, there's other things you have to do during the week besides just this. So
Yes.
okay, I'll give you the 2-minute version of how I would hit these pillars.
Okay.
Before our next call. You work for yourself now. You control your own schedule.
Yes.
Okay. What time do you get up in the morning? Don't lie.
I honestly between 5 and 6.
Wow. Okay. So let's pretend you get up at 6. How long does it take you to whatever your morning routine is or things you have to do before you are actually working? Do you work from home?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you ready an hour later? Are you ready by 7?
Yeah.
Okay. My suggestion would be do something similar to what I talked about in the book for me. 7 to 10 should be off limits for you for any calls, scheduled anything.
Okay.
Unless it's a travel day, 7 to 10 is your time. It is not insignificant time. It's not answering a million email time. 7 to 10 is proactive time. It's working on your pillars and anything else proactive you have to do, like your demo reel or your white paper, right?
Okay.
If you just worked 7 to 10 each day and everything else after that was reactive, that'd be a home run.
Okay.
We could talk more about that next time, depending on how you're doing. All right. Any last minute or anything you want to ask me again before I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll talk here offline. But anything else from a pillar standpoint, or you think you're good? We got our 5 pillars here.
Yeah. No, I think they sound good.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Simplify Your Strategy, Magnify Your Results. If you know someone you think could benefit from this episode, be their hero and share it with them. If you'd like a free copy of my book or you want to be considered as a guest on a future episode, head on over to productivitygiant.com. Have a great day and thanks again.